All right, so pencils down, everyone. We're going to talk about the narrowband capability of Flip, which we're going to be using and we will be setting up. But before we do that, I just want you to know generally what it is and why we're doing it. So typically, when we have a Flip sim, we would expect to see the particles come all the way down to, let's say, the bottom, because this is a tank, so the whole thing is filled with liquid. If I turn on the surface visualizer, you can see it is in fact completely filled. We'd only see particles in the top. What narrowband is doing is that it's creating and destroying the particles such that they exist within a certain bandwidth away from the surface. In our case, I have a bandwidth of 3. So there are 3 voxels worth, more or less, of particles. So that's why you can see them near the pig head, because that is also a surface where the water is meeting the collider as a surface. Houdini is smart enough to know that it doesn't need to do that along the actual tank boundaries, which is why you don't see it. If you did have a collider along the bottom, it would look like this pig head. But in any case, the idea is we only need particles near the surface. Why is that? Well, because we're still going to have velocity everywhere. There's still going to be a volume velocity for everywhere. We're still going to have a surface everywhere. So we still can generalize the liquid down here, but that's the idea. The way the liquid moves down here is very general. It's not that interesting. The interesting stuff comes from breaking the surface, from breaking these particles and the way they move away from each other and they make these, streams and rivulets and depressions and things here. That's what's interesting, and that kind of minute detail is what is captured well by particles. But down here, where it's all kind of just like a mush, we probably don't need that much fidelity. And this kind of proves it. Like it still looks great up here. And it didn't really matter what was going on down here. So that's pretty much narrowband in a nutshell. It's a flip sim in every way. It just only is doing the particles near the surface. And you can, if it helps you to imagine it, the particles are kind of implied below the surface by the velocity field. Because that's what the particles are trying to do. They're trying to capture complex movement. And we just don't need complex movement down here. Cool. I hope that makes sense. Pretty happy with how this demo turned out. I like that the liquid kind of still pours out of the pig's mouth as it comes out. Pretty cool. Anyway, so let's actually go set it up ourselves.